before summer vanished and well after, until they started calling for all properties to be searched. So there you goddamn receipts, Fred, Ziggy, Dear World. Even we didn't have access to the goddamn Fields property, you fucking dipshits. So no, Jody Sue and Andy and everybody else didn't hide Summer anywhere. Nothing was done. There's proof on camera and by feds and law enforcement and big boy equipment and hayfields themselves and gates and neighbors that, nope, wrong answer. Fred, Ziggy, Dear World, you dumbasses who eat and breathe and feed fucking tragedy pit narratives like hungry baby birds and then use them to torment all of us with because you buy their bullshit and lies. There you goddamn receipts. Alright?
To be fair, Jody Sue, if you're going to call other people tragedy pimps, you too have been here since day one, making money off of the little girl that went missing from across the street. And to be fair, you are one of the very few that I always see your Cash App pinned. You never show Summer's photos, ever. You never show the Amber Alert flyer. You never show the updated flyer. So if you're going to try to be real with other people, Jody Sue, let's also be real with you.
Now, here's the thing, right? Because I always say fields, fields, fields. It's the road y'all are fed, right? But it's actually Bale they were coming to. That last search. Or two. Now, I don't know what they found compiled with all the big boy hacking equipment to make them come back to areas of interest that way. I have a few thoughts. So, here's the deal. You know, the thing is, on the 15th, I heard Fred's truck. Heard it leave. Here's the thing about that, though, right? Who's to know who was driving Fred's truck when it left? I don't. I hope cameras that they captured his face driving, but here's the thing, though. Fred's truck stopped at a certain point and then restarted at a certain point and then left that road. I'm certain of that. It stopped after a certain point. I'm certain of that. Why, I can't say. Initially, I thought, well, it's just its usual piece of shit self.
Maybe I'm just dense and stupid like you enjoy calling all of us here on YouTube, Jody. But if you're talking about the red truck, you said something completely different. And I'll play that clip as soon as you're done talking. And if that's not what you're talking about, then why are you doing all these riddles to make people think that maybe, possibly, just possibly, it may have been Fred? You know that is exactly what you're trying to imply.
Tearing up, breaking down, I don't know. Maybe he's over there hanging out with Candace Donegan or something. Or who the fuck knows what Fred's doing? Fred's Fred. Oh well. This shit's always tearing up. That time the yellow truck's having issues too. It's a consistent thing. It's whatever. Had trouble starting, stopping, doing all the things. Even well after summer vanished, when they were out here in town and shit, and it's fun. But anyway, so I didn't think much about it that day. I've thought about it a lot since. But because of things at the beginning, and how Fred felt, and that he was being set up, targeted, fucked with, couldn't blame him on that front. And I thought, well, mud and jello from just these assholes. But they were the only ones really head and nose and shit 24 hours a day. Some of the things, looking back, don't quite vibe to me. And it could still be that situation because Well, when you have a team formulated around people and it looks like they're all targeting or fucking with witnesses and others and trying to make people look entirely sus as fuck while cleansing the asses of others, well, it's got a feel to it, doesn't it? It really does for me. So I can't blame Fred. Also, if he's just doing all this he's doing because he's Fred, Fred speaks because he's afraid too. I don't know. That'll be up to law enforcement and feds to figure out. And well, it's Fred, so I don't know. Either way, um, I just know all kinds of things from all parties around everything are a whole goddamn lie. And it's always trying to figure out why. What's what, this, the other. I can pick out truths. I can listen to their tones. I can hear when most of them are lying, when they're bullshit doing things. It just depends. But most of them I know well enough to where I can read their body language.
To be very honest, Jody Sue, we all have just about figured out all of this about you as well. And it's really strange that you're coming out fighting against Fred, saying that Andy was on the hill that day. Isn't that what this is all about? I think it is.
And hear their tones and also shit. Because guess what? Lived there. Well, most of them, like Fred, my entire life. Throughout all the stages of his, before certain shit kicked in, all these other things, Fred's Fred. Never underestimate Fred. Either way, thing is, I can't say who's driving Fred's truck. It doesn't mean that Fred possibly wasn't left behind back there. Doesn't mean Fred didn't get out of the truck at some point either. Somebody else took the truck out. What I do know to be fact is that Fred came back in that road and well after the helicopter was up, had a trailer behind him, what it was pulling, and then he kept his head straight, wouldn't speak to anybody, but he's the reason the traffic got brought up where some people could leave the road that had been trapped in there for hours. That had been part of the initial search efforts with I and other neighbors for summer.
Put in my disclaimer here. I don't think Jody Sue had anything to do with Summer Wells' disappearance. What I do think is Jody Sue knows a whole lot. She knows an awful lot of stuff. And these riddles and all this other bullshit really are pissing people off. And you call everybody else a tragedy pimp? But I'm wondering why Jody Sue is making such an issue of this. The conversation actually started about an hour before, so I only clipped this part of it. But she seems to be wanting to say, well, Fred's truck was going down the hill that day, but maybe it wasn't Fred driving. Like, seriously, Jody Sue, what the hell are you implying? Get to the fucking point. The shit is getting old. This is a missing child. Like you always say, this is a missing little girl. If you know shit, say something.
And so, but that doesn't mean he was the one driving that truck when it left out of there. Doesn't mean that he didn't get out of it at some point and somebody else take it on out of there. And him had different ways. Doesn't mean, and I go through these puzzles every day. Fire puzzles. You think, well, it's weird certain shit follows all the dope trails.
I mean, I totally agree with Jody Sue here. I do think all paths to where Summer Wells is leads back to those quote unquote dope trails.
Could people have gotten out of things or done things and met out towards the main road and gotten into vehicles again and or met later and come back in driving those things? I mean, I don't know. I just know that that's up to law enforcement feds to figure out. That's what I know. I'm sick of the bullshit. Today, I feel like eating Ziggy's favorite food, with receipts. Some of the thoughts and certain facts and puzzles. Fred said he was key to everything. He'd warn wires on everybody, all these conversations, try to make everybody else look all kinds of ways. Ziggy did too. Now, what law enforcement's then going to go right behind that? Have what is apparently their star person wearing wires on everybody do all that shit and then go set that motherfucker up cold with hard cells and wires. And then try to place that what in front of a jury, a judge to back up those wires? Come on. No, bro.
Let us not forget, on Fred's own accord, he told Ziggy he was being investigated for 2 deaths. Let's also not forget the fact that Fred Hill is the only one sitting in jail. Don't forget that. As much as you love Ziggy, do not forget that.
I don't really give a shit either. Now, as far as him and Dawn, whatever, I hope shit was gotten from whoever it needed to be gotten from. I hope the whole goddamn neighborhood was fired. I don't really give a shit. I hope there are answers somewhere on somewhere for someone in her case. But I know nothing from Little or Monster and that shit had anything to do with anything. Usually when Fred was coming up seeking information or trying to fuck with us or trying to misdirect shit at that point, him and Dawn would conveniently somehow magically know each other with her, and there'd be a meeting and we would move the fuck away from them so they could do whatever the fuck it was they were doing since the very night someone vanished.
She just said when Dawn and Fred would meet up, they had no clue what was going on. And then they would just like scatter, like Dawn and Fred would start talking about something. So Jody Sue and Andy didn't like it, so they would just leave, right?
Anybody got time for it. And then we carried on about our business, and we were well aware of what Fred was doing. And he was trying to gather and be nosy and all that. Yeah. And weirdly enough, trying to misdirect and do weird shit and fuck with shit. And you think at first it's just Fred speaks, just twacker, it's just a sinner. But looking back, it's like hell, him and C&D and the rest doing the same thing to one another. Why? Why trying to distance between one another? Why behavior patterns change between them? Why
But see, here Jody Sue is where you like to dish out the shit, but can't take it. Because in the beginning, you said they were loving parents. They, all blah, 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 blah. All those text messages you put out between you and Candace. You weren't trying to distance yourself from anything until it got to be hard. Am I right or am I right? You and Candace were friends as well.
Why was there an extreme mention of that to make others believe that they've been separated as super close friendsies for, I don't know, convenient 6 months? I don't know, man. It all has flavor on it to me.
So I decided not to post what Jody Sue originally said when she did say that she had a description of the driver of that red Tacoma, which I know a whole lot of you just don't believe, but it's still on the TBI's website. You best believe it. They are looking for that vehicle. So I left that part out of it because Jody Sue just frustrates the hell out of me. I am tired of the riddles. Her and Fred seems like they're going back and forth at each other. All I can say is, like I said earlier, Fred is the one in jail. Fred is the one that we saw the polygraph exam for. Not Jody Sue, not Andy, but Fred Hill. With that, I hope you guys have a great night, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.